Hello, hello, book buds! Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Welcome to the family! I'm Mackenzie, and I recommend books for whatever you enjoy reading. Today has been a video that I have put together, and it's taken me a long time, and I'm very excited. I have Encanto characters as book recommendations, and I'm going through the entire family. I'm excited. Encanto has been so popular. The songs and music are the same thing, but the music and the movie and the characters and the dance and Bruno and Louisa and just everything. I love it. So I've got my Walt Disney World Mickey Mouse t-shirt on. I've got some ears. You just gotta get in the mood, you know? And my makeup for today, I did yellow and I put like a bunch of sparkles on it. I will say I think that the eyeliner ruined it just a little bit, but I put a bunch of sparkles on it, and we're gonna claim that I'm the candle. Like the candle vibe, some yellow, some warmth, feeling good. Okay, let's get into this. I'm starting at the top of the family and going down, so starting with Abuelo, Abuela, and then going down to their kids and then the grandkids. So like from the top of the family tree down to the bottom, okay? Stick around for all of that. We're going to start off with Abuelo. And Abuelo, my recommendation for him would be Crescent City. Now, right at the beginning, this is not a spoiler for the movie if you have not seen it, because this was literally right at the beginning of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, when they're all leaving and they're like getting kicked out of their homes, Abuelo sacrifices himself for the safety of his family and for like the rest of the villagers and stuff. Okay, that's not a spoiler. That happens right at the beginning. Don't come for me. But he sacrifices himself, and that's basically all that we see of him. But this book has a theme of sacrificing for your friends as well. We have the main character Bryce and her friend group, like also right at the beginning, they all die and she ends up like looking for their murderers and stuff. But her friend group sacrifices themselves to save her and to save the world, stuff like that. And then Bryce, as she's going through things, she makes a lot of sacrifices as well for the people that she loves. And I just think that that's the theme of sacrificing oneself for the safety of others is really, really prevalent in this book. This is the first of a series. It's Sarah J. Maas. She's a queen. She's not actually a queen. She's really racist and there's a lot of really bad things about her. I didn't actually like this book, but the theme of like Abuelo and sacrificing oneself for others is there. I find it really ironic that I started with like a really racist author and like not something that I would recommend, but like it really aligns with Abuelo. For the rest of the books, I will be honest, I haven't read all of the books that I'm going to recommend, but the reason that I chose them, a lot of them are more diverse and they aren't books that I've read yet, but they're on my TBR and they're things that I want to read, and I think that they really reflect the characters well. And that was my main goal in this, was to make sure that I give a diverse option for books and really represent the characters as who they are, not just based off of what I've read, but based off of the books that are out there and available and what really reflects them. So, moving on to Abuela. Abuela, I've got my computer here for Abuela because, again, I haven't read all of these books, but for her, I would recommend Fable by Adrienne Young. And Abuela, she's the head of the household, she runs everything, she's a little uptight, but she really wants like the best for everybody. And in the little blurb here, like with Fable, it says it's been 4 years since the night she watched her mother drown in an unforgiving storm. Again, aligns very, very nicely with Abuelo sacrificing himself for the safety of her. So that aligns really well. And also it says, where a young girl must find her place in family while trying to survive in a world built for men. So two things that just really align with who Abuela is. She's really trying to find her place. She's really trying to build the Casita and her family up and support her town because of the sacrifice that Abuelo has made for them. So, Fable would be my recommendation for her. If Casita is your favorite character and you're like, Mackenzie, Casita's a house, Casita isn't a character, do not tell me that Casita does not have character, because the house does. The house responds, the house dances, the house does all these things in and out. If Casita is your favorite, we've got the Inheritance Games as my recommendation. And I know I've talked about it a lot. It's because I'm obsessed with this book. But really the reason why I chose this was because the Inheritance Games has the main character in like the Hawthorne house, and it's a huge house with a million different corridors and like underground entrances and hidden hallways and stuff like that. And I feel like that's what Casita is, because every time you open the door for each character, they have their own entire area, and it's all very, very reflective of that person. And here, for each of the sons, they have an entire wing for them based off of their interests and who they are. And so if you really like Casita, you're really going to like the house that goes along with this, that they're all living in, and it ties in really, really nicely with that. Now, if Bruno is your favorite character, love Bruno. Bruno's so popular. We've got the rats down his back. Nobody talks about him, and that is the theme that I wanted to stick with. The theme of nobody talks about Bruno is why I'm recommending Meet You in the Middle. You look at this and you say, wow, there's politics, and I'm going to tell you one of these people is Democratic and one of them's Republican. And you know what we don't talk about? Politics. Sometimes we do, but like generally speaking, the book community doesn't typically, and it's something that like isn't talked about from like adults to kids because there's a lot of clashing with different age groups and their beliefs and how politics should run, and, you know, social constructs and all of the isms and how that plays into different like rules and laws and stuff like that. Like, you know what we don't talk about? We don't talk about politics. So we don't talk about politics, and we don't talk about Bruno. So Bruno's Meet You in the Middle, because this is a book about politics, and I have to be honest, I haven't read it yet because it's about politics and that really scares me, and politics just, we don't talk about it. We don't. We don't talk about Bruno, we don't talk about Meet You in the Middle, but when I read it, I will talk about it, and I'll let you know how it goes. If your favorite character is Pepa, Queen, she controls the weather, and she reminds me a lot of Mother Nature, if we're going to be completely honest. She's not like what I would visualize physically or visually like as Mother Nature, but the characters that she has like with her power and being in control of the weather really goes along with it. And so for that, I would recommend Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon, because Weather Girl and Pepa controls the weather. Also, it's a romance, and I think that it's interesting how Pepa and her husband like talk about their wedding day a lot and talk about their romance a lot throughout this. So Pepa's in charge of the weather, and it's a romance, and it's called Weather Girl. Again, I haven't read this one, but I feel like it would be really, really accurate for the character. So there's Weather Girl for Miss Pepa. What a queen. This is a good one. This is a really, really good one. I'm really excited. Julieta. Julieta is the mother of Mirabel and the daughter of Abuela, so she is right in the middle of needing to take care of her children and also trying to live up to her Abuela's standards, and is stuck doing kind of both while, you know, trying to support the community and stuff. So my recommendation for her is With the Fire on High, and this is exactly why I am reading the first sentence of the little blurb on Goodreads, and the first sentence says, with her daughter to care for and her Abuela to help support, the high school senior has to make tough decisions and do what has to be done. Tell me that that's not it. And like, you'd say, okay, well, there's a lot of books that have that. This book with The Fire on High is centered around cooking and centered around how her cooking helps herself and others. And another sentence in here, it says, the only place she can let her responsibilities go is in the kitchen, where she adds a little something magical to everything she cooks, turning her food into straight up goodness. Tell me that's not Julieta. Tell me that's not Julieta. It is. It is. She's got her abuela to support. She's got her daughter to support. She turns her food into straight up goodness. It is magical, and she heals others. So that is Julieta to a T. I'm really proud of that one. I really think that that one, like, aligns so perfectly. I did this whole video just for that. Moving on to Mirabel, Queen. She's the main character here. She's the only one that doesn't have a gift, so she do be like kind of left out a little bit, but that's okay. With Mirabel, I chose the book Felix Ever After because it's really nice. It's a story about identity, falling in love, and recognizing the love that you deserve. Recognizing the love that you deserve. Tell me that that's not Mirabel. Mirabel deserves love, and she doesn't get it because she doesn't have a power. So she's like the shamed one in the family. And yet throughout her journey, you know, she recognizes that she is worth it and she deserves love. And this story also goes through that. And with Felix, recognizing that he deserves love and kind of finding himself and his identity. So Felix Ever After goes along with Mirabel really, really nicely, and I'm really, really excited to read that one. That's another one that I haven't read, but even just reading the Goodreads blurb on this, I know that it is perfect for Mirabel. It really is. Really, really is. Moving on, we've got Mirabel, and then we have Isabela. And Isabela is the perfect golden child. And you know what's the perfect golden child? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Why is the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo the perfect golden child? I can't tell you because I'm still only like 6 chapters into it, but everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It's the perfect golden child of booktube, book talk, bookstagram, all of that. Everybody loves it. It is super, super hyped up. And honestly, I think it's for good reason. I just haven't gotten there yet, but it's the perfect golden child, and so is Isabela, until you dig up all of the secrets of the past. I don't know if there are secrets in this book because I've got a lot left to go, but I'm going to guess that there are. So she's the perfect golden child. For Louisa, super strong, lifts the donkeys, all that jazz. Louisa reminds me of the book Legendborn, and I really can't tell you why. I haven't read this book yet, so there's that. But the only reason why she really reminds me of Legendborn is because Legendborn has a really strong female character, and reading the blurb on Goodreads just kind of reminds me of Louisa. I don't have a better reason than that. I really wish I did, but I couldn't find a book that I felt really represented Louisa well and her strength both on the outside and on the inside, but I feel like this does. And I can't tell you why, but I just like feel it in my gut that Legendborn goes along with Louisa, so that's my only explanation for that. Moving on to Dolores. Dolores, her power is to be able to like hear things from like a mile away. She's always like super quiet, which is really cool. She's like, okay. If you have like watched the movie, you'll notice that she's a lot quieter than everybody else. Like when everyone's clapping, she just claps with her little fingers, with her index fingers, so that then she's quieter. And she's always like super far away and she can like hear everybody and stuff. You know, she's a lot quieter than everybody else, but she hears everything. And that is why I chose Under the Lights by Abby Glines. The main character in this book has not spoken in years. She hears everything, but she does not say anything. And so I feel like that goes along really well with Dolores's power of just being able to hear everything. Dolores does speak, but the character here does not until you like flip through it and read some more and she starts to open up a little bit. But she does hear everything, all of the gossip, all of the things that people are saying, and she hears everything, and that's that. We have Camilo. We're down to our last few. We've got our like little itty bitty characters at the end. Camilo's power is shapeshifting, and he can change into any person that he wants to be. And so that's his power. And I chose Yesterday is History by Kasoko Jackson because the main character here can time travel. And it's not the exact same power as being able to change what you look like, but I still feel like the powers are kind of similar, and I feel like the ideas throughout it are the same too. So the powers don't align completely perfectly, but they align enough that I felt like this was a really good recommendation. So there's that. Last up, we have the baby of the family. We have Antonio, who gets his gift on the day that they're all there. And his gift is being able to talk to animals. So for that, I would recommend We Bought a Zoo. Simply because they bought a zoo and they're trying to learn from the animals and talk to them and make the zoo better and all of that jazz. It's more of an adult book than like a YA book. A lot of the books that I've recommended are young adult. That's more of an adult book, but you could also just watch the movie and get the same idea. Because I only read young adult, I don't really read adult books. Adult books are really hard for me. So for that one, I will say I like the movie better, but that's that. Oh well. In general, we have gone through everybody, but don't leave yet, because I have a book that kind of goes along with the entire movie as a whole, and that would be The Giver. And for The Giver, we've got like the main character, we've got Jonah, and once you reach a certain age, you get your job, and your job has to support the community and give back to the community. And so that is what like The Giver is all about, is just following one specific character who gets his job and has to support the community. And I feel like this aligned really well with Encanto and the characters having to get their power that supports the community, whether they like it or not, and whether it really aligns with them or not. Like, they've got all of their hidden feelings and hidden little nooks and crannies that kind of go, like, get pushed under the rug because they have to help the community. So, like, their needs aren't always met because they're helping the community and they're supporting their family. The Giver is the same way. They get a job once they get a certain age, and then their job is to help the community in whatever way they are given, and whether that's something they like or not, and whether it's something they want or not, all of their like underlying problems get shoved under the rug, and that's what they do. I got cut off right at the end. That was basically the end of the video. I was just saying how The Giver and their inner turmoils and characters and whatever align really well with Encanto and those characters and how that all works. That was it. I guess I would suppose I was done anyways, but like, cut me off, that's fine. That's a way of telling me that I talk too much, which is valid. But to wrap this up, thank you so much for watching. I'm really proud of this because I love how a lot of the books really align with the overall theme or the internal struggles of each of the characters, especially with the representation in a lot of the books that I chose, and how their certain culture and those cultural aspects like align with the internal struggles and stuff like that of the characters in the movie. Don't know if you followed that, don't know if you followed exactly what I said, but they work, and I'm very proud of what I chose and how I chose to do this, so yay for that. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I really enjoyed doing this. I really enjoyed doing the Seven Dwarfs challenge earlier this week, and love the Seven Dwarfs theme, love Encanto, love Disney, and just ideas in general. So let me know if you have any ideas for me on what I could do next, because I'm not a creative person. That was a shake. I kicked the camera. I'm not a creative person. I wish I was, but I'm not. These are hard for me to do, but they're so fun. And once I find books and stuff, I'm like, oh yes, this is it. So it's very fun. It's just not always easy because I'm not as creative as I wish that I was. So if you have any ideas, drop them below. If not, that's fine too. Thanks for hanging around, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.